I'm really excited tonight. I think I said that last week as well, but what I'm going to be talking tonight, quantum field creation and how to win the battle of consciousness, is like, it's just giving me so much amazing energy right now in my body, and I want to share with you guys. So let me know if you can see me and hear me. I'm going to talk about quantum field creation. Why? Because if the last year has not done something to encourage our consciousness and how to create a different way of living, a different way of doing things on this planet, and to kick our butts, if you like, into an evolution of our consciousness, I don't know what has. And potentially this could keep going on and on and on indefinitely. In the beginning, we were told 6 weeks of lockdown. It's been a year. There's been 3 stages so far. It's not going to end, guys. Not on this level. Not if we keep doing what we're doing. And so I'd like to share with you how to really evolve and emerge out of that space, and what I believe is really going on in the background, which is a battle of consciousness, and what that means to me, what I suggest that we do about it, and how to win it. And I'm speaking from a place of direct experience here, and many, many, many years of experience. And as I grow and as I learn, so my experience broadens. So this is not something I'm going to share with you from a book. It's not something I've even read up on, although that's probably a good idea, actually. So any of you quantum physicists out there, or any of you people who know about consciousness or know about creation and manifestation, feel free to hop in on this conversation and correct me if you think I'm veering off or I've got something wrong. More than happy to engage in that discussion with you and to learn more. But the essence of all of this is, isn't it wonderful when we can come together and learn together and create, because we're already, I was going to say potentially create together, but we're already creating together because we can all see the results. This is a result of our creation. What we see around us in our own personal lives, in our own personal world, if you like, and then into the broader, wider world that we're all inhabiting, we're all in it together. We can see what we're creating. And wouldn't it be wonderful to create something new? Okay, so first of all, I'm going to walk you through several stages, or talk my journey through the several stages of this. So to begin with, just like to say hi, thanks for joining, by the way, and if you're watching, just let me know what you think about quantum field creation. I said to my partner before I jumped on, he was like, what are you going to talk about tonight? I was like, quantum field creation, how to win the battle of consciousness. He's like, all right, I'm going to have a bath and watch the football. So funny. Anyway, quantum field creation. So what is that? So the quantum field is the energy of everything. Let's just put it that way. To me, when I experience it, it's a super conscious, I could say substance, but it's also a nothingness. So it's both. It's that paradox of it has substance, it exists, it's an energy. I believe that this is what scientists are calling dark energy in the universe. Takes up 73%. They've calculated, takes up 73% of all reality. And it's a pliable, to me, it's a pliable substance. It's a super consciousness, and it's neutral. It's kind of an absolute consciousness. And it has absolute potential for creating, for manifesting anything. So how do we tap into that when we exist in a reality where, for almost everybody, what we call reality is what we can touch, what we can smell, what we can taste, what we experience on this third dimensional level? One way of saying it, the material reality, which, as if you listen to my video on Sunday, I was sharing about how I watched this program, and scientists say that only 4% of all reality is matter, only 4%. And that's how much we relate to as reality. To us, matter is everything in our reality. And beyond that, we don't know what else exists, or many people don't even know that anything else exists beyond that. And yet that's where this vast, enormous creative potential is available if we had the consciousness to tap in and use it. But most people don't. We're down here in a much smaller bandwidth of consciousness, tiny, in fact, very, very tiny, narrow bandwidth of consciousness, operating only on a material level. And even on that material level, a lot of it we don't see, we don't understand, because then you're going into the, looking into cells, looking into the matter itself and understanding how matter works. And we don't, most of us even understand on that level. So we have a very small scope, a very small playground in which we are creating. So how do we create something new when all we've got is our history of everything that we've created so far in a very small bandwidth of what is actual reality, with a very small consciousness with which to create it? And if we keep trying to create the same or create something new from that which we've already used and already, kind of maybe potentially exhausted, I don't think we ever exhaust the potential, but we've tried and tried and tried again with the same building blocks, the same material sources and resources that we tap into on this level for creating. And that to me is a bit like, I'm going to give you a Lego analogy. Imagine if you have a little box of Lego, and in that Lego kit, you can build a house. And so you can build the house with a Lego, or you can build other things with that limited number of Lego bricks. There's only so much you're going to be able to dismantle and rebuild and dismantle and rebuild and dismantle and rebuild before you kind of run out of new creations. However, or you're using the same materials. I think, that's the point I'm trying to make, is like you're using the same building blocks. But what if, I remember my brother when he was little, he wanted the Millennium Falcon Lego kit. And with that house, the kit that we had already to build a house with, you couldn't build the Millennium Falcon with the house Lego bricks. You had to go and get that special Lego kit box to build the Millennium Falcon. So you see what I'm saying? It's like, okay, that Lego box that you already have is what you know that you know. This is the reality. This is what I know. This is what I'm used to. This is what I always work from. This is what I'm always manifesting from. Like if you want to get more money, then I know I've got to get a job, or I've got to do this, or I've got to sell something. That kind of attitude. So when you've got something else and you go, okay, I want to build with this Lego brick, this Lego kit, it's like saying, okay, I know what I don't know, but I still don't have it. I know that it exists, but it's not what I know. So that's one thing. So I'm talking about, on the quantum field of creation, I'm talking about that which you don't even know that you don't know, unless you've had the consciousness to see it, experience it, and understand how to co-create with it. That's a whole another Lego kit. Maybe that's all the other Lego kits in the rest of the world put together that you're not even aware of, because all you know is you've got this little one, and then you've got the other one that you want, but you know that you haven't got it. Does that make sense? I'm trying to make it easy so you can understand what I'm talking about. So in order for us to create that from using all of this untapped potential of creative substance and consciousness, because you need the consciousness to be able to connect in and use that potential, what needs to happen? It seems to me very obvious that what needs to happen is an evolution of consciousness, that we need to somehow tap into what we don't even know that we don't even know. And yet it's part of us. So it's almost like it knows us, or it knows you, because it's part of our environment, it's part of our universe, it's part of our reality. And it knows about us because we're part of its, we're We're informed by it. It informs into us, but we don't know of it. So what needs to happen? And my feeling is, or what I've looked into, what I've seen, is that there are some people who understand how to manifest, how to create. And a lot of these people are not using it for the greater good of humanity. It's like if you've got a secret power and you've learned the tools of how to use this creative potential, how to use this energy, then some people are using it for mass manipulation, to have power over. And you think, well, why would they do that? That's quite uninvolved, isn't it? Like, as an evolved species, you think that we'd understand we're all one species, and that in order for some of the species to survive, actually the whole of the species needs to evolve, needs to understand something, and that we survive as a species, and that we're growing towards something, we're aspiring, we're doing better, and that because we, if we came from a benevolent place, we would be supporting the whole sustainability of the whole species. But unevolved people, much as they might understand these tools, have got something else going on. And so of every single one of us in greater or lesser degrees. And so this is why when you're trying to manifest something, you're trying to create something, you're trying to change your world, change your reality, get a new relationship, get the relationship you want, get more money, whatever it is, have a different health relationship. Or when we talk about the global situation right now, actually to change so that it's not scary, people are not helpless, there's not suffering, there's not the control that's afflicting humanity right now by the few who know how to use this power. So how do we do it? We need to understand that in order for us to create, we have to recognize our own lack of consciousness. And recognizing in us the parts where we self-sabotage, where we self-destruct, and do the same thing over and over and over again in our own lives, not expanding out of that and creating something different. We need to acknowledge the parts in us where we are heftily invested in lack, and not by conscious choice. A lot of people don't live a lack-filled life because of choice, or at least they don't understand or believe that it's their own choice. It feels put upon us. It's conditioned in. We inherited it. We were conditioned by our parents. We were conditioned by our ancestors. We've been conditioned and programmed by society or whatever. But inside of us, however it got there, we still have a lack. And that lack is like a vacuum that keeps kind of almost sucking every bit of potential into it. Every potential opportunity, every good thing that might happen that looks like it's going to happen, and then, oh no, it doesn't. Because it's been sucked into that vacuum of lack, like a black hole, just sucking it in. So it feels like, oh, this is my chance. No, it isn't. This is my chance. No, it isn't. Oh, I thought this good thing was going to happen. No, it didn't. Can you relate to that over and over again? And that seems to be like a time loop that we've got stuck in, because we go over it time and time and time again. And yet we're going, oh, maybe I know there's another way, but I don't know how to get there. Or I have a sense that there's something, but I don't know what it is, and I don't even know. It's that massive void that I was talking about. So in order for us to evolve consciously, and for us to manipulate, if you like, to use this potential of creation, something needs to happen here with that lack and our own consciousness in order to transform it, so that we are no longer a vacuum for everything that we want sucking in, but we are able to expand the consciousness out and start using that potential. And my friends, the very best thing that I can tell you from firsthand experience and through witnessing and guiding hundreds and thousands of people is to come back to the self-love. And you might think, but Tara, how is self-love going to, change the planet? How is self-love going to end lockdown? How is self-love going to help me manifest on this quantum field? Well, it's really easy, because in order to love yourself, you make different choices. When you love yourself, you acknowledge, like let's imagine a truly angelic, benevolent, loving being beams down in front of you. And they're able to love you so much that whatever your shadow, whatever your lack, whatever your demons, whatever your dark secrets, whatever your guilt and shame and blame and judgment and vengeance and malice and resentment and all of those icky things inside of you, which are negatively attracting this vortex, this vacuum. Imagine that benevolent being of absolute love, like a guardian angel or God himself, standing in front of you and saying, but I see all of that. I see every little bit of it. And I'm sorry that you think that's you. I'm sorry your identity, the way that you've been programmed, has led you to believe that this is all yours and all the wrongdoing is your doing, and people's unhappiness is your doing, and the problems with the world are your doing. Even if you're going, yeah, but they are, I did bad things. That benevolent being will be in front of you just being like, I know, and I see that, and I understand that you feel like it's your wrongdoing, or there's just fault and there's anger. But please forgive me. Give it back to me, because it's not actually yours. And you have a choice if you want to carry on being this negative magnet, this negative attracting black hole and sucking all this negative energy into you, or if you want just to give that to me, liberate yourself bit at a time, because do too much too soon and the change, you can't deal with the change that quickly. Bit by bit, give it over to me. Lighten your burden, clean up the mess, put the light on inside and start to see yourself as I see you, which is another myself, an unconditional love. You are the child of my heart. You are my beloved. You are me. And I love you. And I love everything you've been through. Because everything you've been through has enabled me, as I perceive you, as I watch you, has enabled me to understand more about this potential to create and what's possible to be created. By watching you, I've learned more about myself. And I've been able to expand and grow in potential, and the universe is still expanding. So the potential is expanding. That's really true. And yet, whilst that universe is expanding and I'm learning and growing, you're staying really stuck. And I'm really sorry. Please forgive me. Give it to me. I love you. Come home. Time to come home. Here's my hand. Come home to the truth. Come and sit where I sit. So all of us, I think, probably wish that we had somebody that loving, somebody that benevolent, kind, conscious, who would come and see us and meet us in all of our pain, in all of our lack, and forgive us and love us. And hence the search for gods and goddesses and deities and gurus and all kinds of teachers and healers. But my friends, this benevolent, beautiful, unconditionally loving being is you. This is already who you are. And what if that loving part of you that is there by default inside every single one of us, humans, you went and had that conversation and allowed a flow of conversation between your most benevolent, unconditionally loving self and all the other parts of you that have become separate from love, or believe that you've become separate from love, separate from being worthy, being valued, being wealthy, being taken care of, having a planet that's going to be a beautiful, sustainable place for you to live and enjoy your life. All the parts of you that are scared for the people, for the children, for your families, for the planet, for everything. All those parts of you. What if you brought every single one of those parts of you, parts of your mind, parts of your psyche, and you had a meeting inside yourself with this beautifully, unconditionally loving being that just said, well, thank you for believing that and manifesting it in this reality, because it's enabled me to carry on building, carry on expanding. Thank you for experiencing that. And do you want to experience it anymore? Do you need to keep going around any more evolutions of your life cycle inside your soul cycle? Do you need any more lifetimes? How much more time do you need to experience this suffering and get stuck in the loop? And when would you like to come home? When would you like to come and try creating something else with me? Let's go do it together. So we have this symbiotic relationship inside of ourselves. You could say it's the relationship between your divine self and your human self. You could say it's the relationship between your superconscious and your inner child. You can say, I don't know, you can fill it in. What do you call it? Between the universe inside of you and the atoms that believe that this is all there is in reality, is this physical reality, and how much you've invested in it and got attached to it and put meaning into it and derived a life from it, and yet it's like it's not working for you. So this is where having that conversation is really choosing to, instead of trying to create the change out there, still using the same bucket of Lego, going over and over and over again, doing the same thing, put that down, come inside, have a connection with yourself, have these conversations with yourself in a very conscious, present state. As present and conscious as I'm being with you right now, like fully here, speaking out loud. Have that conversation with yourself. And bit by bit, all these little particles, because that's how we work. We're creative substance, working in particles and waves. And so you can connect with all these particles inside of you, and each one can move in a waveform. So you connect to these particles, these aspects, these pieces or parts of you, have that conversation, and bit by bit, they release the negative, vacuous, self-destructive nature that's built up, and actually completely transform. And then the energy starts moving in a completely different way. It moves in an expansive way, and it has ripples. There are the waves. It creates a ripple effect out into your reality. Wow. Bit by bit, every little particle. It's a bit like that game of Othello where you have the black pieces and the white pieces, and then when they touch, they turn there, you convert the other one over to your color. It's a bit like that. You just bring that love to every part of you that feels in lack, in darkness, in helplessness, in hopelessness, in dread, in fear, in anxiety, in whatever it is that you're experiencing in your life. And you just go and meet it. And then as it transforms, it changes. It just transforms, like turning the Othello game over, and it goes to the other color. It goes to a different vibration. And you're now in collaboration, in a conscious collaboration with your divine self or your superconsciousness. Do you see how that works? And so I've been thinking a lot about how people who seem to be excellent manifestors, because they've manifested vast, vast sums of money, vast exertions of control over other human beings to such extent that now most of us are operating as slaves, doing as we're told, covering ourselves up as we're told, being incarcerated as we're told. And it's all, you know, mostly just through images and words and fear, being operated by fear. This is the vast majority. Actually, it's become less recently, but it's still the majority. It's still a lot of people. So I'm curious. I'm like, how are these fairly small groups of people using this power of manifestation and creation to do such things? And I have a few theories, and they're still running at the moment because I'm still learning about it and looking into it. But my feeling is, one, that these, to me, generally speaking, not that I know all of them personally, but if I look at their energy fields, the ones that I know of, and look at their energy field and I look at the energy overall, I'm like, these are beings in lack. They're not super conscious, loving beings. These are beings in lack, severe lack. It doesn't matter how much power they seem to have or how much wealth they seem to have. It still seems to be going into this enormous vacuum of an insatiable soul that is not being fulfilled. And it's almost like the more of that empty wealth or empty power, because it's power using fear, which is empty. It's a fear is like an empty shell. It's just like there's nothing in it. It's an absence of. Fear is an absence of knowledge. Just like darkness is an absence of light. You bring the light, the darkness is gone. You bring the knowledge, the fear is gone. So it's an empty, vacuous wealth and power that these people are accumulating. And it's like the black hole getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And the bigger the black hole, the more it sucks into it, into this self-destructive soul that is insatiable, unquenchable in its thirst to fulfill itself. And it's also stuck in a loop. And to me, I see a victim in that place. Just like all of us, to greater or lesser degrees, we all have this. And it's a victim role. It's a victim assimilation where we're going, oh my goodness, this soul is so stuck, so trapped. And they're trying to escape it by having more, but the more they have, the greater the field of negative attraction, sucking everything into it and actually just becoming more and more and more empty, more full of nothing, more full of lack, of real sustenance, of real love. What really sustains human beings. And yet they've got really good at it. And I think one of the things is because they've had lots of time to do it. Because once you start getting a grip on this, it's like you can just, like clean up, you can hoover up. You've got the tools. But I also think that there's certain knowledge that has been passed down, but it's the knowledge in the darkness rather than the knowledge in the light. I don't want to go into this too dark because I want to kind of progress to this next part about this battle of consciousness and how to win. So, but let's say that these people are stuck in their own loop as well, stuck in their own time loop. And that consciousness of lack with all of us seems to have become prolific. The helplessness, the fear, the anxiety, the depression, the blaming, the guilt, the shame, whatever's been going on seems to become prolific. It feels like a disease that's ravaging this planet. And how do we stop something like that? How do we stop ourselves from all being sucked into this kind of black hole vortex of self-annihilation? Collective human self-annihilation, because I don't think anyone really escapes this. You might think that you can escape it and transfer and maybe even go to another planet and start again. No, because the same disease will just spread because nothing has actually changed. So there's mass self-destruction going on. And it seems to me that there are others here who are like, no, we need to be conscious. Let's shine the light on things. Let's change. Let's transform. Let's evolve out of this. And so then there's those who are saying, right, like myself, let's be more conscious and let's also be conscious of what we've not been conscious of. Let's be conscious like that benevolent, loving being and looking at all the trauma and the fears and the darkness and the history and everything that's been wrong and just saying, I see you and I love you. And if we, or when, I'm going to say, as we are doing this, because we are doing this, as we recognize that which has gone before and that which is still prevalent, which seems to be in lack, seems to be in darkness, and we choose to unconditionally love it anyway, seeing it for what it truly is, a soul in suffering, a collective species self-destructing, and to stand there in a presence of total love and see all of it, because that's what love does. Love doesn't say, I'm just going to see the good parts of you and I'm going to love the good parts and just ignore the bad parts. Love loves everything. So love looks at all of those with full presence and acknowledgement. And how about we were able to do that? We chose that, first of all. We chose to do that. What would that mean? What would that mean if every bit of unresolved trauma, darkness, lack, suffering, negative fear, control was seen and, like that Othello game, just flipped over and brought back into harmony with the creative source, the creative substance that we are? First of all, neutralizing it back into the absolute, and then able to infuse it, encode it, communicate with it, and tell it, inform that neutral superconscious substance, this is what I now want to create. Because it's a neutral particle. It's just misused because it's not understood. So when we understand it and we see that superconsciousness, let's say we see the divine in everything, which is hard because we're looking from our minds. We're trying to see with our eyes the divine, and we think we need to see Jesus, or we need to see God, or we need to see Allah, or we need to see, fill in the blank, whatever it is you think you need to see. Everything's all golden and glorious, light and shining, and the angels are singing. So, and we're looking with our third dimensional material eyes. We're not going to see it. You're going to see the destruction, you're going to see the pain, because that's the level that we're used to looking at. So we have to first see ourselves from inside, from that place, from our divine perspective, from our superconscious state, from the absolute, from the unconditional. See ourselves in that way, and it changes your eyes. It cleans your eyes because you come into harmony with that absolute. You become that. You start resonating at the absolute. You're forever transformed. Once you know, you know. Once you know, the fear isn't there because you know. Knowledge is the antidote to fear. And there is no going back. So you've escaped the loop, if you like. You've escaped that loop that humanity has been going down and round in for a very, very long time. And because, let's say, you as a quantum particle of potential have transformed your attraction energy from not dark and negative and in fear and enslaved to neutral, sacred neutral, superconscious, potential neutral, that's a massive shift. So you're already ahead of the game because you're no longer sucked into the drama that others are still sucked into, and literally sucked into the vacuum, right? The fear vacuum. You're no longer in it. Everything looks different through those eyes. Your body feels different. Your awareness is different. Your potential is now ready for like, well, what do you want to create now? It's like you've wiped the slate clean. And this doesn't happen overnight, my friends. This can take a while. But to be honest, the way that everything is quickening right now and communication around the planet is so fast, and our collective consciousness is awakening to this more and more and more. It's the knock-on effect. It's the 100 monkey theory. Everything starts to expand. The ripples are going out. The tide is happening, right? It's coming in, and you're in it. And so you've got more and more and more of this potential to flip from the sucked into the negative and the black into the, I'm just going to use the Othello game. Let's go from black to white. It's nice and simple, from dark to light, or dark to neutral, sacred neutral. So you have this more and more of this potential because others around you are doing it. And what a fun game to be part of. It's like getting the new Lego kit, the one that you knew about, but you just couldn't get your hands on, and you didn't know how to use it. It's like, we've got some new building blocks. We can make something else, and we're doing it together. And there's a super high resonance, a much higher frequency, a much more powerful resonance with this energy. So it's like, oh, it's quite delicious, isn't it? It's more attractive. It's like, I want to hang out with you because you're not stuck in the drama. You're not resonating negatively. I like your vibe, basically, right? Ah, and there's that ease, in the neutral potential. There's no drama, there's no pull. It's just like, right, now what's possible? Let's go into the thing that we didn't even know that we didn't know, and start to transform our vibration even more by tapping into this incredible intelligence that we've all got deep inside of us, which is our heart. And our hearts always know the truth. And whenever you tap into your heart and you ask your heart, what do you want, heart? What do you need for your fullest expression, for your fullest expansion, for this potential, right? What do you want to create with potential, heart? And your heart will tell you and sing to you and communicate with you and show you in whichever of your senses are most strong and good at picking up on the signals, right? The heart doesn't communicate in vision, but if you've got a visual sense that's very, very strong, your heart will communicate, and your intelligence will convert it to a visual communication, and you'll see it visually, or you'll hear it audibly if you're an audio person, for example. So your heart doesn't necessarily speak in words and pictures and stuff, but it communicates to you, and you, using your senses, will pick it up. And the more you practice, this is the beautiful thing about self-love, the more you practice tuning in and having these loving conversations with yourself to clean up that old history, your senses, your cognizance, your ability to connect and be aware, and all of the different awareness senses and sensibilities that you have, your gifts, if you like, is a good way of putting it, they're getting some practice. So those muscles are getting worked. And so by engaging in these self-love, self-benevolent, divine conversations of unconditionality with yourself, you're developing your senses to an extent where you're also operating on another extrasensory level. You're not just using the same normal tangible five senses that you think is all you've got in this material world. You've actually got much more than that. You just didn't open the Lego box. You just didn't know. So you end up having all of these developed sensory awarenesses. So in this communication with your true desires, with the real truth that streams through you, that is you, that wants to express and create through you, with you, as you, you're much more engaged and aware of what that intelligence is saying to you. So in that heart field intelligence, with your extrasensory awareness, and with this already established foundation of your sacred neutral potential, it's like you can extrapolate, if you like, and go put all of that together and start to then with your super senses. I mean, if you're like me, you can actually start to see the quantum particles. You can interact with them. You can like look at them and touch them and notice how they react. Notice how this super substance reacts. You can speak into it and watch what you've asked to be manifested to manifest. And if that's your potential, and that's every single one of us's potential, as let's say a single little quantum particle of potential, you are and I am and Bob down the road is and Sarah over there is, and we're all these little quantum particles of potential having an awakening to our potential and then to what it is that we want to create with the sensory awareness to create with it, like the tools, the painting brushes. And we all start doing that together in this unified field of quantum creation, quantum communication, because it's telepathic, it's super sensory, it's super empathic. So we're feeling each other, we're seeing each other, we're hearing each other on these higher dimensions. And it's just like, wow, look what we can create together. And the way that I perceive it currently, and this may change as I learn and grow some more, but the way that I currently perceive it is that we are at our maximum potential when every single one of us does it, because it's like one candle lights a portion of the room and two candles light an even bigger portion of the room. And the more candles that get lit, the less darkness there is and the more potential for light there is. So I guess that's just why, one way of thinking about it. It's the way my brain thinks about it anyway. And it becomes an unstoppable, it's an unstoppable force. And the universe is our oyster. Literally, we have been given, you have been given, I have been given this creative source potential. Like nothing else that I know of in this known universe. It's like having a genius child and watching it battle with itself, not recognizing its powers, not understanding the gift it's been given of this life and not understanding its gifts, and so self-sabotaging, self-destructing, because it can't find its gifts, can't find itself. So it self-sabotages. And you're that parent watching this little toddler, let's say, just going, oh, I wish he would stop doing that, bless him. But if you step in and do it for him, he's not going to learn. You're going to put your programming all over him. You're going to teach him the limited version of reality that you know. So you just have to let the toddler grow. And you have to let the child understand what works and what doesn't work, what feels good, what doesn't feel good, what's right, what isn't right. And not by morals or standards or religions or judgments, but just by its own innate nature to feel around and go, oh, it doesn't feel right. Okay, that feels right. And then to be informed by the environment around him. So that's humanity bashing itself over the head, right? And so I think because there's an awareness in some people that go, there is a battle of consciousness of such going on, in that some are aware of their quantum superpowers. And yes, they're in lack, but they're aware of their power. They're aware of that. They've got more knowledge, if you like, than others have of how to do that. They don't understand how the self-love part comes into it, and they definitely don't have that part. They don't have the divine in place. They have something else in place, and it's self-sabotaging even more, but they don't know what they don't know, just like all of us, just like every single one of us. So, but they do have the ability, they do have the know-how of how to almost to sabotage the consciousness of humanity so that they remain in control and other people, most of the rest of humanity, remain enslaved so that those few can control. And they're kind of getting a kick out of that, even though they're as stuffed as the rest of us. You know, they're not going anywhere, but they've got some illusion, I believe, that they think they are, or they're just stuck in the cycle and can't get out. I don't know. I don't know. That's too generalizing to speak about on that level. But definitely it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to have peace, so you're not going to have peace. You know, I'm not going to understand who I truly am, so neither of you. You know, I'm not going to, I don't know, just self-realize or get the love I'm looking for, so neither are you. And so there's that battle going on in some senses, if you look at it in a certain way. So how do you win this battle? You just don't fight it, but you become aware of it. You become aware of the battle that's inside of you, where your light side and your dark side are battling. Your consciousness is battling with what it doesn't know that it doesn't even know. Trying to get somewhere where you don't even know how, trying to make something happen in your life, but you don't know how, and you've tried everything and you've come up empty because you've used every tool in the box that you had. Am I making sense? Does this make sense? Let me know if this is making sense, people. Hello, loads of lovely pictures and hellos. I wonder if this is making sense. So, you know, it doesn't matter which way round I look at it, and I like to look at things from a lot of angles. I always have done, like testing it, looking with different senses, looking from different kind of dimensions, I suppose, and looking from different places and going, okay, so what's going on here? What is the bigger picture? What is happening on the playground of humanity? And what's the answer? And I've been doing this since I was a teenager. And every single time I engage in one of these, you know, sensory or journeys, if you like, these adventures into, oh, I wonder what that's all about. What's the answer? I always come back to the same thing. And it just seems to me that that is the only answer. And you could tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if you think there's another answer. I'm all ears. But ever which way I look at it, comes back to the same thing. Know thyself, love thyself. And you only get to know thyself once you love thyself. And that's literally it. Because you won't know yourself unless you love yourself. Because when you love yourself, then you know who you really are. You see all of it. You see the bigger picture. You see the parts that were hidden in the darkness. You see every aspect, or you start to. And that's how that consciousness expands. And with that expanded consciousness, the universe is your oyster, and we can massively co-create. So what's that got to do with lockdowns and all this bullshit that's happening on the planet? I mean, who likes it? I don't think any of us like this. Doesn't matter which side of the fence you sit on, which perspective you share, or which, you know, political party you support, or, you know, which newspapers you read, or whether you're an anti or a wither, you know, it doesn't really matter. We're all in this together. And I don't think any of us are happy. Like, I have to say I'm really happy, but I'm not happy about what I see happening. It's obviously destructive. I don't think anybody's enjoying the destruction and the fear that's happening, and the situation doesn't look good. So what do we do? If we keep coming at it with the same old, keep looking at it through the same eyes, it isn't going to change. How it changes is our transformation. I mean, I guess it's a bit like your version of reality as a caterpillar versus your version of reality as a butterfly. And a caterpillar looking at a butterfly would just be like, no way is that me. No way is that possible. But it is, because you don't know what you don't know yet, because you're a caterpillar. And all you know is this little branch or your little leaf or whatever it is that you know, this is the reality. And the butterfly's going, no, it isn't. This reality is just, there's the ocean and there's the rivers and there's the forest and there's the, and the little caterpillar doesn't know any of that. So what I'm saying is we all need to become butterflies. And transformation, that cocoon, to get into your chrysalis, your self metamorphosis, your self awakening, your self revelation and embodiment, actualization of your gifts, of your intelligence, of your consciousness, of your creative potential, is to fall in love, is to go in and meet every single part like the benevolent source being that you are, with unconditional love, and transform it. See everything, love everything. And it's a journey. It doesn't just flip like that. There's a learning curve that you experience with every single one of those aspects that you encounter and you engage with and you communicate with. It's an individual, unique experience for every single person, and every single conversation is a unique conversation. It's a unique aspect of you that wants to come through that metamorphosis. And it's an amazing and profound journey. It's an enlightening journey. It's an empowering journey. It's literally where you get your power from. You get your power back that way. And much as I kind of look at people protesting on the streets, and much as I like to join in and sign petitions and cheer people on and do my videos and do all the talks and, expose this and talk about that, I believe in that. But it's a small portion of the bigger picture of what we can actually do to affect change. The bigger portion is to tap into the rest of that. If 4% of our reality is the matter, what about the 96% of untapped potential? Surely it's worth investing time into mastering, qualifying yourself as the master engineer of this quantum universe, this master creator, co-creator, this master being that you in fact are, hidden like a butterfly inside a caterpillar, waiting for your discovery, and invest in that, contribute to that, be in that environment and transform. Because as a person who starts to evolve into using the greater portion of potential that's available, you're going to impact far more change into this quantum reality field. And we're going to have a lot of fun doing it. So I think that's enough words for now. I encourage you not to try and take all of this into your head and, not let it ping pong around like one of those ping pong, to what they call the tables where you pull the thingy and the lights go everywhere and the ball's going everywhere. What's it called? I can't remember. Don't let your mind do that, ping ponging around. What's she talking about? Is it true? Isn't it true? Whatever. Just feel it. Just let it all in. Learn to receive unconditionally. See what works. See what lands. See what's relevant for you right now. See what you can grab hold of. See what does make sense. Maybe I'm not the best explainer. I'm doing my best. And just listen to your within. Let the ping-ponging lights go off inside of you in there, lighting up and going, oh, that kind of makes sense. Don't really get it, but, makes sense. Or just listening to feelings that come up and going, okay, if you're triggered, that's your inner calling. Your attention is being called to go in there and be in there and try it out. And if you're up for it, I'm just going to be talking about this a lot. I mean, I already talk about self-love all the time, and I have the tools. They're very, very simple and they're not expensive. So if you want to learn self-love, just go to my website, taraloveperry.com, and the Self-Love Club, I got it back up and running last month in February. It kind of hit hit a little patch where I was a bit stuck with it, and then I've just gone, right, I know what it needs, and sorted it out. So I don't know if I'm still playing. Actually, it says trouble having this video. Anyway, it's all there. Self-Love Club, super easy, handheld journey, week by week, very little investment, but really encouraging your investment into yourself. So that's super cool. I encourage you to go do that, or just get the book. Everything's super inexpensive. Okay, but this is about just trying to give you the tools. I know they work, and go and use them. And if you've got other tools, great, use them. And I'll see you in that field. I'll see you in that field, quantum creation. And it's a really fun place to be right now. I'm manifesting and all kinds of amazing things. Literally, I have a conversation about something one day, and then it just pops up into my reality the next day. And it's like, wow, this is super cool, really cool. And it's quickening right now. It is getting more and more exponential in terms of its availability, or our availability for it. So I'm done for this evening. Have a wonderful rest of the day, and let me know what you think. And if you think this is helpful and interesting, please share it, because then we can all be those switched on little butterflies creating this new earth for human peace and well-being and love everywhere. So blessings and love, and I'll see you soon.